Well, it's Friday night at our residence, which somehow has come to mean auto repair. But we're not working on the Frontier. Tonight, we're working on the Pathfinder. That's right. It's a rear wheel bearing. This is not an instructional video. So if you're watching this hoping for instruction, I will tell you things like, you need a 17 mil and the bolts are right here. But you should not follow my advice. I don't know what I'm doing. That is the truth. The reason I'm making these videos is more just for posterity, so that my kids can see, you know, he probably can do it. And to tell you, you can do it. Maybe, probably. I mean, I don't know you, but possibly. So here we go. And tonight we're tackling the passenger side rear wheel bearing, which means first we're gonna snap this wheel off. Well, I mean, actually first we're gonna lift it and stabilize it, and you should make sure it's not gonna fall down. Then we're gonna snap this wheel off, get the brakes off, probably discover something broken, and get the bearing off. Here we go. We're here, might as well go ahead and show you a terrible video of this. This is the old bearing. You probably can't hear it, but when I turn it, it grinds. You can feel it and hear it. Pulled out pretty easy. We're gonna go ahead and put everything back together. The emergency brake looks fine. We're gonna hit it with just a little bit of something to make stuff not stick. I'm gonna put some anti-seize on some of the stuff, and you know, so it comes off easy next time. Sometimes it's easier to see these things apart. So that, again, not a lesson, but there's the mounting side of the wheel bearing. It goes in this way. You can see where it was mounted right there. The bolts come through from the back side out this way. So you access them in the back here. They're a 17 mil, mine weren't too bad. They came right off. So I popped the wheel nut, well, the cotter pin, I suppose, then the axle nut, then the brake caliper, which we're gonna service while we're in here. One of the slide pins isn't moving very well. Then we pulled the rotor off, and then I used a puller just to push this back out of the way, because there is not much room back in here when that's all seated to get a socket on. So I used my pusher to shove that back and hold it there. You can do it by hand, it's just hard to hold it. And then I broke these bolts free. Something I will show you, because there's no clearance back there whatsoever, something my grandfather taught me. When I was trying to put this on, I couldn't get this to line up with enough room for my breaker bar to work. If you pop that off, turn it one turn, and pop it back on, it changes the alignment on the bolt, and therefore changes the angle of your bar. Therefore, might, it did for me, create some more room. All right, we're gonna put this back together. There, it's all buttoned up. The axle nut's not on it yet, and here's why. I told you it was low clearance. I don't give advice, but if I did, I would say torque these right here before you put your axle nut on, because you're gonna wanna be able to move this back and forth to get enough clearance to get a tool on it, or you won't get by that little shoulder on your CV shaft to get those torqued. So, I don't give advice, but if I did, that would be one of them. Then we're gonna put this on, we're gonna torque it to spec, button everything back up. Before we do, I'm gonna take my caliper mount right here, and we're gonna clean it up a bit because one of these pins is not moving the way it should be. Put some grease on it, and then we're gonna put her back together. Okay, we get everything back together with a socket that we've had apart. That's a 32 mil. A deep one is helpful, although you might get away with a shallow. These are 14, these are 17. The 4 on the back here is 17. We torqued these before we put our axle nut on because of clearances, but now we're going to torque all these to spec. I even do the brake caliper ones to spec because, well, factory service manuals are free, and I sleep better knowing that stuff is right with my wife and kids riding around in this thing without me. So we're going to do that and button it back up. Okay, well, it's dark, and as you can see, my garage is incredibly well lit. Actually, the real kick in the pants is I tried to buy some better lighting today. It was on sale, and they were out. A couple things I need to say. Actually, just one. If you were watching close, you noticed I had a puller on the hub. I was not using that to pull the hub. That's important. I'm told you can damage the other end of the CV shaft if you do that, and, well, you don't want to do that. I was using it to shove the CV shaft back just enough that I could get my socket on the inside. So don't pull on the end of your CV shaft. Actually, somebody just told me about a trick that you can use running a bolt in through the front side of your hub to something on the back. That's kind of a neat one. You can figure that out for yourself. Or I know other guys use a slide hammer. This one actually came right off. It did not need a lot of pulling. Just a couple taps, slight amount of pressure, and off she came. So don't pull on the end of your CV shaft. Don't blame me because you saw me use one for a different purpose. Have a good one. It's all buttoned up. I'm heading in for supper.